1.20 snapshots will be playable within the next few days. However, how is the community supposed to help with the update if there isn't even a significant feature or theme that we can build off is a really good question. A lot of people think that 1.20 doesn't have a theme because it doesn't have a name yet. However, King B Dogs actually says that the update does have a theme. They've just intentionally decided not to give it a name so they can shape the update with the community to help give it a name that fits the content. Going on to explain how he thinks this is going to be a better thing for the community in the long run and how the wild update was not wild enough in many people's eyes, and if they'd known that they'd spend so much time on the ancient cities, they wouldn't have called it the wild update because they don't think it was wild enough, but they'd already stuck to the name basically, which is a really interesting point to make. Also, the easy comments here to say about the update name are, let me guess, Caves and Cliffs Part 4. They are confirming this is not Caves and Cliffs Part 4. Not that that should need to be said, but yes, Minecraft 1.20 has a theme but not a name. The name will come as a result of the process. By the way, this is Q&A Saturday, my favorite weekly series that happens on a Monday when there's Minecraft live on Saturday and the Let's Play 10-year anniversary yesterday. You might have known about that, but you might also think that bamboo is a bit of a weird wood. I mean, why do we need it when we already have actual bamboo? It's currently for feeding pandas, so why does bamboo wood exist? And this is a weird comment because they're obviously making bamboo wood to give more uses for bamboo. This is something that is a big part of Minecraft, trying to find new uses for existing things. You can hear about this when Olraf is talking about baby camels.
Yeah, and as we can see, we also have camel babies because you can breed them. And something pretty interesting is that the item you're going to use to feed and breed them is actually a cactus.
And so I actually think it's a good thing that they're being respectful of old features by taking something that is really underused right now, like bamboo or like cactuses, and giving them extra uses in this update. I love the idea that Minecraft is always building on existing things because that's something they can do better than modders. By the way, something that I think has to be mentioned because when you look at the update, some people say it's quite small, and why is it that Minecraft takes months to do what modders can do in a week? This is actually a funny thing because obviously the big process of making Minecraft is actually designing good features, ideally. However, an interesting point actually came from King B Dogs, who responded directly to someone who was confused that Minecraft has almost 1,000 employees working on the game, but it's strange that a modder can do more in his spare time, which is why, you know, modders can make all 3 of those mob vote mods, etc. But funnily enough, his response is a pretty good one. I was literally a Minecraft modder for 10 years, and many developers in the team are modders. If it really was that modders are just so much better than Mojang developers, why would they lose that talent when they work for Mojang? The answer is obviously they have to release much more bug-free features, and also they have to be designed actually well. If you look at any mod, there's a bunch of content that just kind of exists in there. Every part of Minecraft usually adds to the game in a serious way. I guess that's one of the big things they're trying to do. Also, it's all professionally modeled by different people. There's just something about company structures that really slow people down, for better or for worse. Speaking of being slowed down, here's an interesting question from Jesse Elliott, who clearly loved the new bookshelves that can actually store books. However, his great idea is that for all the regular books, they're just books, right? But we don't know what's written on them. Maybe they could make it so each book has a random short story or just like a little poem. That way books you didn't write have a bit more depth and you have more of a reason to gather them. That sounds like a horrific idea. I mean, ignoring the fact that there's so many books in the Minecraft world, the only way for that to be possible is to randomly generate them. It's also just like, do you really want to collect a stack of books and then read 64 stories? Maybe you do, but I feel like most people don't. Because although some games do have books that are out in the wild, these are usually handwritten to really add some lore. If you try to randomly generate a story, it'll be something like this. It was 94 Fahrenheit outside, so Willy the Goblin went for a walk. When they got to the soup kitchen, they stared in horror for a few moments, then turned into a slug and crawled away. Bob saw the whole thing but was not surprised. Willy the Goblin weighs 300 pounds and it was a hot day. Wow, that would add so much lore to Minecraft if I read that in a book. Okay, so yeah, this is a really good idea. Every book should be written. I actually totally agree. Speaking of things I totally agree with, Scary Gary says, is it just me or are these updates getting smaller and smaller? And it is true that we went from Caves and Cliffs being one of the biggest announcements they'd ever made to 1.19 being a pretty small update by comparison for them to try and, you know, announce fewer features but then release more later. And now this year's 1.20 is about 7 different major features, or you could separate it into about 50 different sub-features. However, I I would say that isn't actually a reflection of the update. 1.19 was probably smaller than 1.18. It was certainly smaller than 1.16. However, I do think that we don't know the size of 1.20 yet. That is something that's going to be determined over the course of snapshots. If we get weeks and weeks and weeks with betas and snapshots with nothing new in them besides bug fixes, right at the start, which has happened before, that would be a massive fail for Minecraft. If the update comes out and somehow it's smaller than the wild update, I would be really shocked, and I think that's the point where we'd have to really question what we're doing there. However, I think what might happen is they can actually use the undefined set of features in this update to add as, weird things that are good for the game can now come, rather than them focusing on, like they said before, like King B Dog said that they couldn't make the update as wild as they wanted because the warden took just that darn long. And I think as a result, making the features people want versus the features you've promised is actually a better thing if that's how it works. 1.20 could be a big or a good update, but will it be with those things? We're going to have to find out. Speaking of things we're going to have to find out, Dylan Superti asks, in real life, camels spit out of their stomach when it's hot outside. Will they do this in the game? Well, we already have a spitting mob in the game, the llama, and they didn't confirm at Minecraft Live that camels would spit. However, they actually revealed to a bunch of creators and PR and media before the event exactly what they're going to be announcing, and one of the people who watched that show was Echo Soldier, who confirms that he was told earlier this week camels will not spit, by the way. So that's kind of a second-hand source because he heard it from Mojang, and then now we're repeating it from him. But I would imagine that if they say it's not going to spit, it's probably not going to spit. The version of the camel we saw is probably, the what you see is what you get version. Speaking of what you see is what you get, we saw Archaeology all the way back in the Caves and Cliffs announcement. Where are you, Archaeology? Asks Yellowcomb142857B. What is your username, man? But the explanation of this one is they decided not to add it in the end. It's one of those features that got cut. They officially announced that it's in the idea pool again, and the reason why, according to Xylophane, it's Xylophane right here, is that the only people not waiting for Archaeology are developers who checked out the Minecraft Live prototype branch. In other words, saying that the version they made for that prototype wasn't very stable and they didn't actually think it was fun or good enough to add to the main game. And I guess that's one of the things about Minecraft development. They effectively spent thousands of dollars of man hours, right? Because it costs a lot to hire software developers to make something which looked really cool, but just wasn't very fun with the end result. Speaking of not very fun, Joshua's Fun and Games asks, what mob won? I missed that part, and I can't believe you didn't hear. This was a huge announcement. They said the Phantom won this year, and boy am I excited for this guy. I think this is going to change Minecraft in a really serious, fun way, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. While we're looking forward though, let's look backward to a video I made comparing the mob vote to real democracy, and IceDude116 says the reason this video is flawed is that you're comparing the lives people have to wake up to and live with to a video game where you have the freedom to stop playing. And a lot of people hate comparisons because they're like, but you're comparing different things. And it's like, yeah, if you're comparing the same thing, it wouldn't be a comparison. But I'm glad a lot of people just enjoyed the comparison of real democracy and Minecraft. And by the way, there are a lot of parallels. You might say that you have to live in a real society and you can't just stop playing real life. Well, actually, you can move governments. You can leave your country anytime you want to, except the reasons you don't want to leave your country is that, maybe it's really hard for you to leave, or you've got roots there, or all your friends are currently in your country and so you don't want to leave it. So it's really important you get the vote right. But actually, that can apply to Minecraft too. It is entirely true that the Minecraft mob vote is 100 times less consequential than your country's elections, or if we're being honest, it's like 1,000 times less consequential than your local elections. However, in spite of that fact, it still is true that it's important to a lot of people, and to downplay the importance of people because you think that you have to wake up and live in the real world. I can wake up and live in Minecraft. I'll show you who's boss. Speaking of showing people who's boss, Radio Markin Privat is from Switzerland. By the way, I think it's cool. Got some Swiss viewers, but they also are concerned that I say that there was multiple flavors of cookie cone at my store. This is one of my favorite types of ice cream. It's an ice cream where the cone is made of cookies. It's by Nestle, and apparently in Switzerland, where Nestle's from, there's only one flavor, and so Radio Marco Privat, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to move to the UK because Tesco here definitely has 4 flavors. There might even be more than that, and it's one of my absolute favorite things things. If you live in the UK, you're at a supermarket, you wanna spring for something a little bit nicer, ice cream wise, find the cookie cones. You won't regret it. It's just so much better than normal ice cream. Speaking of so much better than normal ice cream, why are there so many haters in your chat? This is something I wanted to respond to because we have one of the best chat communities here on YouTube, in my opinion. However, whenever a live stream goes very big outside of the IBX takeout audience, we get a lot of interesting characters hopping in who really don't like certain things. And honestly, this is just the nature of the internet. People with the most polarized opinions are the people who are most likely to chat. And if you don't have the right whatever in place, that's what's going to happen. And I don't think it's actually a very big deal. Whenever there is a big event where we get 10 times more viewers than normal, that's going to happen. Just don't worry about it. Just ignore people who are saying things in chat you don't like. In the same way they're saying things you don't like, you can just not read the things you don't like and show them who's boss. Speaking of things you don't like, the Pap000 says I'm Scottish and I need a skin to represent me, referring of course to the fact that there are 7 new Minecraft skins coming. We got this fun little animated version of them recently, by the way. There are 7 new Minecraft skins coming, but not a single one is for Scottish people, except wait a minute, Minecraft already has a Scottish skin. It's weird because they announced this big diversity push by adding new skins to Minecraft to represent all of these different, physical appearances, and even though everyone already has their own skin in Minecraft, it's for new players who join to be like, wow, there's someone that looks like me. However, what I don't get is if they think that's so important, why did they remove the default skins that came with Console Edition? You can technically download a skin pack that has all of these Steves, including Scottish Steve, by the way. Wow, the best Steve. But yeah, they removed these as well as the fact that when Alex came to the game, they made 8 variants of her too, including Swedish Alex. That's right, Mojang actively removed Swedish representation from their own game to add all of these, when it's like, couldn't you have had all of this? Why don't we have hundreds of default skins in Minecraft so that everyone can feel, because I think saying that you fit into one of these 9 archetypes is so much worse than saying there is one skin, that is how you play the game, that be it. And that's I think that's just my take on games. Like I really like Deathloop recently. It's a game with a black protagonist and a Latina antagonist, I want to say. I didn't look at that game and say, wow, I find it so unrealistic that I'm playing a character from a different background, and wow, why is the antagonist someone else that I wouldn't recognize? If both these guys were white, I would understand this game far more, and that's a much more narrative-driven game than Minecraft, and also, Minecraft already had a character skin select. But I mean, ultimately, it's just an easy PR win. No one is against this. You might say, like, it's unnecessary, but no one says this is a bad addition to Minecraft. It's a okay addition, or it's a good addition, depending on your opinion, and ultimately, isn't that what matters here? And so speaking of things that matter, I hope you enjoyed this video. It would really matter to me if you hit the subscribe button so you'd see more of these, but either way, I look forward to seeing you in what might be snapshots coming later this week. It's a few days out and we're not 100% sure, but I'm excited to hear, and I look forward to seeing you over there.